In this video, I want to talk about the whole concept of markup and then markdown and put this in context on how the markup based on cost is connected to the markup based on selling price. So I've come across a lot of confusion surrounding these concepts. So we'll just focus on unpacking what these mean. So now markup is just the difference between your selling price and your cost. So I'm going to just call this SP, selling price, and then cost is what our markup is. Now, also go back to this idea of percentages where we said that our rate is our portion divided by base, right? So in the context of pricing, markup is that portion. So if markup is that portion, then to get the percentage markup, we have to divide it by a base. So then the question is, what is the base? Is the base our selling price or is the base cost? And both will work, it depends on the context. So just to keep things simple, we'll first work on the percentage markup based on cost, and that is the more conventional measure. So in that case, you just look at your markup and you divide it by cost. Now, also just to clarify, we can work on these things as percentages, in which case I'll call a markup of 40 as 40%, or we can work on it as decimals or zero point 0.4. In the calculator or in Excel, eventually you'll have to put in decimals. So I prefer working with decimals. But to convert percentages, you can multiply whatever answer you get by 100 and then call that a percentage. So a percentage markup is our amount or dollar markup divided by cost. So this then helps us navigate various entities. So now we have said that our markup is difference between our selling price and our cost. So let's say that you're given the cost of the product, the selling price, then if you're working with on the basis of cost is my cost times 1 plus my percentage markup based on cost, because I'm going to be getting this back, plus I'll also add a percentage markup. So this is the formula for selling price. And from this, we can easily derive that if given my selling price and given my percentage markup, I can calculate cost. Now then the cost, if we go with this basis, is my selling price divided by 1 plus percentage markup over cost. Right, so this is when we work with on the basis of cost. We can have a similar concept on the basis of selling price. Now here again, notice that rate is portion divided by base. So now my question is, what is the base? So we can let the base be the selling price also. There's nothing that prevents us from having base as selling price. In the first exercise, we had our base as cost, but now I'm going to work with my base as a selling price. So in this case, my percentage markup based on selling price, S or SP, is my markup divided by my selling price. So this is kind of an important idea as well. We are just now charging as a percentage of our selling price. Now, if we get this, now it's easy to get the idea of cost. So what is my cost if I'm charging a markup over my selling price. So my cost then is whatever I'm selling my item for, and then I will subtract what I'm marking up based on selling price from it, right? So we can say my selling price times 1 to get my selling price back minus my percentage markup over selling price. Right, so notice the parallelism between this and this. If you are given the percentage markup based on selling price, I find it easier to calculate cost. Cost is basically what you sell an item for, that's what this part is, times how much I marked up from that item. And if we work with this, then we can now calculate our selling price as our cost divided by 1 minus percentage markup over selling price. So hopefully this helps us see these formulas in context. Again, the blue formulas are right, as well as the black formulas. The idea is that in the left section, my base is the cost. In the right section, my base is the selling price. So hopefully this helps put things in context. We don't have to memorize a lot of formula, just understand what the concept is, and then we can move from one to the other. So now, how do we convert from, like, suppose you're given the percentage markup based on selling price, how do you get the percentage markup based on cost? Or conversely, if you're given your percentage markup based on cost, how do you get your percentage markup based on selling price? And again, these are also pretty straightforward calculations. So suppose I am given this, then my percentage markup based on cost is my percentage markup based on selling price divided by 1 minus the percentage markup based on selling price. Okay. On the other hand, suppose I'm given my percentage markup over cost. So then how do I get the other one? So in this case, my percentage markup based on selling price is my percentage markup based on cost divided by 1 plus the percentage markup based on cost. So these two formulas will help us convert from one to the other. So yes, there are a lot of formulas, but they're all consistent. Hopefully, this video clarifies that once we understand what our portion is, our markup is our portion. In the percentage formula, this becomes this. And our base can either be C or our base could be S. If our base is C, we are in this category. If our base is S, we are in this category. But both will help us arrive at the same conclusion. Now, the other thing is what happens to a series of markups and markdowns. So let's say I have an item that I sell for price S, original selling price is S. Suppose I mark down by 30%. Then my sale price is my selling price times 1 minus my percentage markdown, which is my selling price times 1 minus 0.3, or my selling price times 0.7. If I now mark up by 10%, so now my step 1 was marked down, my step 2 is percentage mark up by 10%. Then if we call this SP1, then my SP2 is this guy times 1 plus 0.1, or SP1 times 1.1. Now let's say after we have marked up, we mark down again, percentage marked down by 20%. Now our selling price 3 in the third step will be my SP2 times 1 minus 0.2, or SP2 times 0.8. So I can keep doing this. Every time I do something, I will look at the previous price and either mark up or mark down from there. So that's when we do a series of markups and markdowns. So yeah, we can work with markup and markdown the same way, and then we can also, given the markdown, we can, or given the markup, we can have the basis of cost or the basis of selling price. So hopefully these ideas are clearer now. And again, there's not too much to memorize. Just understand this basic idea that rate is portion divided by base. What your base is how you qualify. So in the context of pricing, the rate becomes the percentage markup. For example, portion is our markup, and then the base could be cost, which is more conventional, or the base could be selling price. But hopefully now we know how we can get from one to the other.